What the fuck is going on here? Jesus Christ. Hit it from behind, hit it from behind. Oh my god, it's dancing. What the fuck is going on here, baby? Hey guys, just a quick video on Rumble. So for the runes, I usually like to run Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot because your E will proc that because it's so slow, Eyeball Collection, Maximum Kills, and then obviously Ultimate Hunter. You want your ult as short of a cooldown as possible. Also Secondary Transcendence adds stability CDR, and also when you get a kill past level 11, your cooldowns get reduced by 20%. That's just a basic ability set, which is nice. And then usually Gathering Storm just to scale, CDR for your abilities to come up earlier. That's usually what I like to run, guys. I feel like it's most damage and really strong. Okay, so as for items, especially with Rumble Jungle, or only for Rumble Jungle actually, Red Smite is just generally better, right? You're going to take less damage from whoever they have on their team. The slow you get from this is not really worthwhile for Rumble, considering you can already slow with your E. The only thing it would really be for is if you want to stick on someone, because it does have extra damage with the Smite, and you can stick on them. But generally speaking, I would go Red Smite. And then you need refillables, just because his early clear is so shit. As for where you want to start, if you're getting a leash, usually you want it to be from the stronger lane. So in this case it would be bot side because you have two champions hitting it. And then obviously on the opposite side it would be blue buff. If you can't get a leash from your laners and you'd rather them get prior in early level 2 for example, Raptors is the only camp that you can start. And pretty much you just start by hitting this Q, and then you just want to keep hitting the big one. Now one thing you need to do on Rumble, particularly with Raptors, is that when you Q, sometimes you won't be hitting all the minions with your Q. See for example this one is not being hit with my Q. So what you need to do in this instance, guys, is when you Q, what you want to do is in between your auto attacks, you obviously want the auto attack to go off, then you want to rotate the side. Click and then rotate. Let me put my cooldowns on again. Refresh this in HP. Ready? So I'm queuing this, but I'm not hitting these ones. So in between auto attacks, I'm clicking to the side, and what will happen is it will rotate your champion to make sure it hits them all. Mainly applicable for like AoE camps, so like Golems is another good one. Wolves generally you'll hit all of them, but I'll just show you guys again, just real quick. So if I'm hitting this and I'm missing that one on the side, I'm clicking with this between. Right click, right click, right click, right click, and it will turn your champion. Right click, right click, right click. See what I mean? So you want all of them to be hit by the Q. So that's a little tip that I don't see many people doing, just for efficiency. And then generally if you start Raptors, obviously you're going to go red and then Golems and then into a full clear. Once you hit level 3 on Rumble, it's a big power spike, primarily because then you can juggle your, overheat much better. So if you're running to Wolves and you don't need your Q for 8 seconds, then prop your Q to start getting some stacks. And then W for your movement speed, obviously. Sometimes it's worthwhile just to E the air to make sure you keep your stacks up, and then continue to go on like this. Now the biggest thing to note with Rumble's overheat is pretty much you want to sit around 60 overheat. That's the desired overheat. It means you can get off your whole ability and overheating really quite easily. Now with Rumble you really want to be sitting around 60 overheat for as long as you can. You want to be walking around the map like this. As you go on a little bit more, your W should be able to just be enough, and it will just, you'll be able to stay at 60, hit it, once it goes 60 and it'll bump to 80. Guys, with Rumble, you can E before you overheat, and then it gives you a small window where you can use your second E again. So what you want to do is maximize the time before you use your second E, that way their magic resist is decreased for as long as possible, and also the slow. So I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So you want to sit around 60 overheat. I'll turn my cooldowns off real quick. So it'll look like this. I can see I can still use it for a little bit, and then it runs out. So you want to use it right before it runs out, so that their magic resistance is decreased as long as possible. So it'll look like this. Fuck. It'll look like this. See how the magic resistance is still applied? Generally speaking, it's 2 auto attacks, and then you use your second E. 1, 2, second E, and just keep smacking them down just like that. That's where the maximum damage output is. Once you have your ult, you can't use your ultimate when you're overheated, right? So obviously it's common sense, so you want to ultimate before you get your overheat off for maximum damage. So same thing applies. You still want to be sitting around 60 guys because your ult doesn't use any overheat. So this is what it'll look like with the combo. You can either W and then ult. we've established that we're going to be sitting around 60 as much as we can. You either want to ult and then go for your W, E, Q combo, or you can W and then ult if you need to get in range, for example. But generally, I think ulting is better, and then you can use your W without being interrupted. Obviously, if you ult and then W, then... I mean, if you W and then ult, it's, you're going to run out of your movement speed, right? So we'll go like this. It'll look like this. Let's say I'm going on this guy here. Remember your ult slows too, so it'll look like something like this. Boom, 2, boom. That's the ideal combo, guys. Obviously, ultimate slowing them, so then you should be more likely to hit your E also. And it should make it pretty easy to hit. So, I'll show you again. So we're sitting in this bush. Let's say this guy's just about to walk into me here. It looks something like this. 1, 2, just like that. That's the most reliable damage output. Obviously, your auto attacks where you're overheated are super strong. So you really want to be utilizing that. Also, with the yellow bar, in terms of that, I think it's over like 40 or over 50 heat that your abilities do more damage. So obviously in the jungle, ideally you'd want to have yellow heat when you're doing camps, or overheating if possible, but you just want to be juggling it. So when you're running around from camp to camp, I'd be going like this, using my W. I know I need 100 to get to here. So here I can W in, and then obviously use my E, Q, E combo. Another thing that people do when they're doing Raptors that I see is they'll go like this. Ready? So I'll get my cooldowns up. Explosive face melter. When they're sitting like this, what they'll do is they'll go like this. E, Q, and then they'll E this minion. Okay? They'll E the little one. The little Raptors are going to die, and this is particularly with Raptors, sometimes with Golems and stuff too. The Raptor is going to die regardless of whether or not you E it. So I think it's a waste of time. Even though your auto attacks are still going to go the same amount of time, it's a waste of a charge of your harpoon. I'll show you what I mean. Galactic hyper barrier. So if I don't use my second E, this is what it looks like. Awesome. See how the little ones still die anyway, without the second E. But if I use the second E, it's just a waste of a charge. I'll show you again. Courageous Giga Guard. My fuel is fighting spirit. E. It's gonna die anyway, right? So there's really no point in wasting a harpoon. I see a lot of pros even do this, which is just a waste of a harpoon at the end of the day. So that's another thing to note. What else do we have? I remember that... What is it? Let me see, hang on. Blammo torpedo! I've got everyone's back. So I've showed you the basic combo before when, you know, you're just walking out to them and use your ult and then E, etc. But generally, if you really want to get on top of someone, let's say that they have no CC or they have no flash up or something like that, you really want to make sure you're getting on top of them. So let's say even I don't have my ult here, what I would be aiming to do would be sitting around 60, getting my W off, and then flash in, because then they're obviously slowed. So it's going to be much more difficult for them to run away. So a good engage, particularly for mid lane or top lane, is obviously a much longer lane, so they have much less distance to run away. You want to just be flashing on top of them, either flashing around the minions, so that you can land an E on them. So let's say, like, you know, we're going for this minion, and then just hunt them down just like that. It's pretty basic, but you know, you really need to be landing an E if you want to stay on top of them. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to run them down with your auto attacks and whatnot. And then also, I like Dark Harvest because, I mean, it just scales so well, I think, and because you're like semi-global with Rumble, especially in the jungle, you can really just sit and ult from here or wherever, mid lane, top lane. It's really, really good because if you don't even end up getting the kill, and you just chunk them down, 9 times out of 10 you're still going to get the Dark Harvest stack, which is really worthwhile at the end of the day considering how short of a cooldown it does go on. So I don't know if I'd go as far to say that it's worthwhile ulting just for the stack, but if there's no objectives up, and there's nothing that's really going on in this game, and you're just kind of farming, and let's say that your ult is going to be killing the minions while your mid lane is dead, and chunking their mid laner, honestly worthwhile in my opinion. You're getting a stack for your Dark Harvest, and you're not going to be using your ult anyway, assumably. That's something that I kind of do. I guess then the other thing is his ultimate, okay, which is pretty easy to hit, but at the same time you want it to be, you know, doing as much damage as possible. So whenever you're ulting, you want to be factoring into account where they're going to run. So let's say this guy's low HP, right? He's going to be running right to his tower. So you can imagine a straight line right to his tower, or maybe a straight line back up there. So your ult, I see a lot of people ulting like this, trying to lock him in to here. I personally don't like that at all. I feel like it gives him the chance to just walk over it. I mean, there's still the slow and whatnot, but I much prefer going the long direction, the direction that they'll be walking. So if he's going this way, then I'd be ulting something like this. Kind of common sense, right? But I see a lot of people doing it behind him like that, particularly in team fights, and I just don't see a lot of the damage going off. You want to make sure that it's hitting them, because it gets the slowdown. Even if they don't stay on it forever, it's getting a bit of damage down on them. And then also, if he's going to be running back, then he's going to be slowed through it, right? He's going to be slowed for longer. So if I ult like this and then he walks to the side, then obviously I can walk up and catch him. But if I just ult like this, I feel like he can just walk back, and then it's kind of... I just don't think it's effective. What else? Also, to note with Rumble's ult, it's like a progressive ult. It doesn't just all go down at once. As you can see with the animation, it takes a while. So the first missile drops first, and the next one, boom, 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 boom. See that? So if there's an enemy back here, if the dummy's here, and I'm ulting like this, see how long it takes to actually hit him with the damage and slow? So if he's going to be running this way, and I'm ulting like this, if he's running right as I drop it, there's a good chance he's already going to be off it. Like, he's going to be standing up here by the time the ultimate actually drops. So you really want to be doing it the base from where they are. But obviously if you do it too close like this, he can just step off this way and can easily get out. Obviously then he's walking into you. But you really want it to be doing it so just a little bit behind them. So if they do decide to step back, it's still going to hit him. And then if they go the long way, it's going to be hitting them like that. But yeah, other than that, man, Rumble, really, really fun champ. I think he's super strong. Not a whole lot of people are playing jungle right now since the W overheat nerfs, but if you can get through your first clear, or primarily to level 3, you're really strong. You can duel a lot of the junglers, and it's really just about not getting invaded early. So sometimes instead of going, warding level 1, recalling, getting a sweeper, if they have a champ like Zinzao, Graves, you know, Kindred or something like that, then generally you want to save your ward. So let's say I start Raptors, I do red, I can, while I'm doing red, because you know, before you level 3 you're most vulnerable, while I'm doing red I can either ward over here, and then drag the red buff into here to see if he comes from here, or, you know, full clear, and then when I get to my blue, maybe ward or something like that. If you can get a pink ward from some of your teammates, it's also very worthwhile, and sometimes I'll even opt in for 1 potion and pink ward as opposed to refillables. Obviously you're going to get lower health, but it means that you're going to be much more safer from an invade, and you can have the info to know earlier. So this is a basic guide to Rumble Jungle. I hope I could have been of some assistance. Thank you all for watching. Baby Spitz out.